Welcome to Practical Talk Time. I'm your host, Usha Kumar. And today I have with me a wonderful artist as my guest. She is Deborah Chodoff, and she's the chair of the Worcester School Art Department. And she's a practicing artist as well, doing book art and painting. Hello, Deborah. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Usha, for having me. It's a pleasure.
I saw your artwork and I was so fascinated. That's why I wanted you on my show. Your book art and your paintings. Could you tell me what category your art falls under?
Yes, I sort of came to book arts on my own. Many people don't understand what book arts are. It's not illustration, and it's not anything to do with the publishing industry, really. It's really an art form in itself. It's using the book as an art form, so it can be very sculptural. The book arts range from very fine bookbinding, which is a craft, through various developments, and then on a very far end, it's a sculptural form. And that's pretty much where I am. I'm not a fine bookbinder. Many artists combine fine bookbinding and book arts, but I'm really just an artist that uses the book to express my ideas.
And your painting, what kind of painting do you do?
I do mostly oil painting. I also do watercolors, and I do some digital work also, pastels as well as drawing. I really do a lot of it, and what's nice about the book arts is I can bring all those media into the book art form.
Oh, lovely. Have you shown your work recently anywhere in this area?
Yes, in fact, I took all of last summer to complete a body of work in painting and digital arts. And I had a show in my studio in Katona, which is where I live. Previous to that...
And when was that?
That was last summer, last September.
Okay.
And right now I'm about to be in a small book arts show in Treadwell, New York. There are a lot of group shows for books all over the world. And I've traveled as far as Glasgow to have a large part in an exhibition there, and my work has been shown in South Africa as well as all over the United States.
Oh, I see. Do you also show along with other artists in
Yes.
Group shows?
Yeah, what's wonderful about the book arts, each person that uses the book as a form has a new way of approaching it. And since it's developed fairly rapidly into a very serious art form, there has been a lot of experimentation, and it's a joy to see what other book artists come up with for solutions for bindings and content and materials that they use.
How did you get into this art world? Have you always been interested as a child, or like how did it develop, and when did you get into this kind of artwork?
Well, I knew I was an artist when I was 5 years old. I was born in Japan. And we lived there for many years. We lived there till I was 8 years old. And my father dabbled in art. My mother was an art historian. And,
that's very interesting.
So
Yeah.
they both collected art and were very interested in art. And I was surrounded by it. Plus in Japan, you cannot get away from art. There's art in every single aspect of life. And there's very little distinction between craft and fine art in Japan.
Oh.
So whether you're wearing a beautiful kimono that's embroidered and decorated and with an obi, or whether you're looking at a Japanese print, or just being in your living room looking at a little alcove with a special flower arrangement, there's art everywhere. And I was steeped in it from a very early age.
As an art historian, did your mother follow all kinds of art from around the world, or any specific areas like European art?
No, she was an Egyptologist at first. And then when we went to Japan, they both got very interested in Japanese art. When she came back, she worked at the Corcoran Gallery in Washington. She quickly became an expert in American art.
Oh.
And I was very fortunate. I was 10 years old at the time. And that is where I got most of my training, at the Corcoran School of Art.
Where is that?
That's in Washington, D.C.
I see.
And it's a very fine art school. I did children's classes when I was little, and then as I went through high school, I took more and more adult classes, and that actually was the bulk of my academic training.
Oh, okay. And then how did you get into this?
Well, then I became...
The kind of art form that you are practicing now.
Right. I was a printmaker for a while. I studied printmaking. I went to Paris and studied with Stanley William Hayter. And then when I came back, I was working as a printmaker.
And what is printmaking? Like, what,
printmaking is, well, I was doing etching, specifically etching, which is, it's derived from the same kind of printing that you use to print books. It's you usually use a plate and a press and make multiple copies. And
different colors? You use
can
different plates?
Colors.
Okay.
Yeah, I was learning a process called viscosity printing, which was 3 different colors on one plate rather than changing all the plates to do the colors. But I was getting frustrated with a workshop situation. It's a very expensive thing to do by yourself. You can't
Is it also laborious?
It's very
it sounds very laborious.
It's very laborious. I ended up liking the plates better than my final prints. So I started working a lot on my own, on paper, and I was doing collages. I was living in New York City and loved the little pieces of pavement and the asphalt and loved the shadows that I saw on the street, and I started making collages that were two-sided. And I did a whole series of the same shape, and I looked at them and I thought, what am I supposed to do with this? Because I can't put it on the wall because it's two-sided. So I thought, I'll make a box. I made a box for it, and what do you know, it became a book. And from then on, I was captivated by the idea of sequence and binding it in a way that reflected the content.
Okay. I also know that in your background, you had lived in South America. So
Yes, my husband and I lived in Peru. He was studying archaeology, and this was when we were first married, and we had a beautiful big adobe house with thick walls and lots of room, and I took a lot of painting materials with me, and I ended up doing huge canvases, and that's when I really started considering myself a painter, and the landscape of the area, the light on the walls was just absolutely captivating. And that has stayed with me, and it creeps into my book arts, and every once in a while I need to take a little break from book arts and do some painting, which is what I did last summer.
And you have those paintings
Yes,
here
I
with you.
actually have a few images that to show you of some of these
Can you
things.
bring up the first graphic?
This,
Yeah, you can keep talking.
The one that you're going to be seeing first is a digital print,
I see.
and it's an overlay of pastels over a digital photograph.
Oh, okay.
Registered together. There's 2 pastels, and so it actually forms a rather abstract composition. It takes it a little bit away from the strict photography.
Oh,
Then the next images are that I've done 4 little canvases. These are tiny.
is that the second one?
That's the
That's
second
up
one.
now?
Yes,
Okay.
and that's light into a doorway. As you can see, when you magnify to the extent that I'm magnifying, it gets more and more abstract, but still hangs on to reality. It's really about the colors of the light and the shadows
Okay.
on the walls.
In so, oh, there's another one.
Yeah, that's light coming in a window and and reflecting off of a wall that's just inside a window.
And this is again in Peru. In that, which place
Yes,
in Peru?
this was actually in a little ghost town
I see.
on the coast. It's a ghost town in the winter because it's a summer resort, and in the
Oh.
winter there's nobody there. And this was at sunset, and it was just an amazing.
So that orange color is from the sunset itself.
Yes,
I see.
yes.
Okay, that's beautifully captured here. We have some more paintings.
There's 2
you
more
want to show?
paintings we can show. That's the shadow of a wall. You can see the Moorish influence.
Yeah.
Even in the adobe walls of Peru, you can see a little bit of Spanish influence.
Yeah. So this color, this is very cool and serene and more water-like.
Yes.
Is there any water there in the neighbor?
No,
that
this
area
is a
now?
piece of a wall.
Or it was just the wall painted
Yeah.
in that color?
Yeah,
So,
the
okay.
wall's painted in that color, and then the shadow of the rest of the wall is cast on the wall and back of it.
Oh, that's very beautiful.
Thank you. We can look at the next one.
That's your next graphic.
And
What is
that's
that?
looking into a series of rooms. Again, there's no furniture.
Okay.
So it's really just the shapes of the rooms. So you really have cubes, interior spaces and exterior spaces that are just pure cubes.
And
painted
light
with-
hits each room differently. It's stronger in some
Yeah.
rooms and lighter in some other rooms.
I revisited this. This is the way I'd been working when I first went to Peru, but after all these years of making books and being an artist and teaching, I approached it in a much more abstract way. And what's interesting about this is that when I first started my book arts, I was really interested in color and sequence, and in a very serene, contemplative mode.
Okay.
Later on, things change. We'll be seeing that. But as you can see, some of my early books, this one, for instance, is called Red Black Book. And it's really an exploration of the color red. And it has the same kind of feeling as my
you would
paintings.
have to face the camera there.
And they all both start out with end papers. All these books start out with end papers that are collages. And then the pages move in sequence. I'm not going to turn all of them. They move in sequence toward the last end paper. So really it's an exploration of a concept through time. And that's what I love about book arts, is that you can really...
Yeah, we'll hold it up a little more. So.
Okay. You can really keep exploring the idea, going through the sequence of pages until you come to the end.
And you've used different materials too on the way.
Yeah, it's almost like a cadence, like in a musical score.
Oh, I see.
Come to the end, and you're sort of at the cadence.
So
of
this
the
is the
piece.
Red Book.
This is Red Black Book.
Red Black Book.
And I use a lot of found materials, found objects, and the Green Black Book is similar.
Okay.
It's a shaped book. You can't probably tell that, but this
Yeah,
one is an
it has some kind of an angle and
it's very
curve to it.
sort of
Okay.
Okay, I'll just prop it on my knee. So it has an end paper that explores the color green, and then it goes through the pages. And you might notice that it actually shows a lot of my Japanese influence,
Yes.
because I think of Japanese gardens and moss and water patterns. And so
And the
we
way
can-
this changes too when we keep removing a page.
Yeah, we can go through. And these are all done in sequence. All the pages are done in sequence.
Yeah. Where did you
And then-
exhibit this one? Have you?
Oh.
In which show?
This
This
was
is very
exhibited
nice.
in a few shows. I'm not sure I can remember exactly which one. This is at the Ted Cronin Gallery in New York in the 90s. These are actually some of my earliest works. So
Only works. Okay.
yeah.
And then you have all these different materials here.
Yes, I
collaged into
love
this.
incorporating found objects. And I do that
Okay.
more
Yeah.
and more.
It's very interesting and
Thank
beautiful
you.
too.
So
I mean, as they say that art is a form of self-expression, right?
absolutely. And
And, you have one more book?
I do. It's a little harder to show.
Oh, that one.
This
okay.
one. This
I
is
thought
yellow.
you had another. Oh, this is the yellow book.
This is the Yellow Black Book, which is
Yellow-black book.
an accordion book, which is a book form that's commonly used, but this one turns out to be in the shape of a fan.
And if you
this-
notice, each section has something different. At the same time, they're all kind of tied together
Yeah.
in a theme.
It became a question for me, what really is a book? And how far I could push the idea of pages and sequence. And when would I get to not a book?
Yeah, I mean, this is a very,
So?
very creative way of making art, because growing up, we were led to believe that art was mainly, in my art class, all we had to do was paint or draw on a two-dimensional something. And that's what we all think of art, to be, it's just that two-dimensional,
Well,
interesting mix of colors.
Marcel
No.
Duchamp changed all that with his urinal and his bicycle wheel.
Oh, yes, that's very shocking,
He
right?
was the bad boy of art at that time, and he shook us up. And things have never been the same
And now you
since.
have this three-dimensional work, which is like an accordion.
Right.
Initially, I thought it was more like a Japanese fan or something before you opened it.
Again, Japanese influence was there. So the next
So
thing,
that's part of the book kind of concept.
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. I use the accordion form a lot. Many of the books I'm going to show you now are also accordion form. It's a very simple form, very versatile.
So what did you move on to after
Well,
you
I
made
had
those?
children after that, and my life changed drastically. And I became obsessed with my appliances because I used them a lot. I never had a
Which one did you
dishwasher
use a
before.
lot?
I used my laundry machine, my washing machine, and my dishwasher.
Yeah.
I had never had a dishwasher before, and it was an absolute joy to me to have one, and I was so proud of it. that this is a little ode to the dishwasher.
So it says dishwasher. What is that?
It says a dishwasher is not magic.
Is not magic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, Usha, you'll notice that this is the first one that has text. I haven't incorporated text in most of my books.
Let me get that.
Okay. And this one, as you can see, has all kinds of little...
Nice colors, but they look like some kind of sponge.
Yeah,
you
they're
know?
all
Scrubbing.
Everything related to dishwasher. And this has text, and I will read it to you.
Let me hold
Oh, first I have to tell you
Yeah.
that these are all pictures of my dishwasher packing. You might not be able to see it too well, but I loved my dishwasher so much.
Camera
I
got
really
it.
I thought that packing a dishwasher was like making a sculpture.
Okay,
And I
so-
also didn't understand why you had to...
And you had nice red pots
Right.
to add to the color there. Okay.
But I didn't see why you should rinse the dishes before putting them in. So eventually...
Oh, so you thought that the dishwasher would just wash by itself and you
What's
didn't
the
have
point?
to, scrub.
What's the point of
Yeah.
washing it twice?
Yeah.
So then eventually my dishwasher broke.
Oh.
And this is the text of the book from the dishwasher repair person.
Okay. So let's
All right.
read from page 1 of this book.
All right. That's what they all say.
Yeah.
There's no food disposal in there. A dishwasher is not magic. It looks magic because of all those fancy buttons on the front. It's a very simple machine. It pumps water in, drains it, and pumps it through again. If the drain is clogged, it can't pump the water through and your dishes come out dirty. This machine is filthy. So, would you put this stuff down your drain? No. So don't put it through your dishwasher. You got to scrape off all the food particles so they don't end up down here.
Well, that's a wonderful book there for you, just based on a dishwasher. We are not going to be reading all other books. This is the only book,
No,
right?
this is the only
We're going
one.
to read. Yeah.
But,
I thought that was funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I learned my lesson.
That's wonderful. So even doing the, mundane chores, you found something
Yes.
artistic to express it in.
And this little one, I don't know if you can tell the texture. Do you know what it's covered with? Can you tell?
I think I can guess. It's like a paper mache, but with lint.
It's lint, that's right. It's laundry lint.
Laundry lint. Gosh.
This book is called Mothers Under
This
Stress.
isn't going to come off on my hand.
No, it's not. No,
all
it's
glued.
quite stuck.
Okay.
Mothers Under Stress, it's in the shape of a little house. And
What is
this-
that again?
Mothers Under Stress.
Under stress. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay. Which
And
mother isn't?
This, exactly, and I was, because I was, trying to work and trying to
Yeah.
keep my kids happy, trying to be an artist, trying to do way too much. We all
Yeah.
try to do way too much,
Yes.
don't we?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
We do.
So I made little laundry lint cookies. And this, I probably shouldn't go through all the text,
Yeah.
because we probably
yeah.
don't have time.
We're good. Yeah.
But
We'll
it does
just
say
give an
mother
idea.
needed. And it's all about how mothers are asked to
Okay.
do
If you just spell that,
Yeah.
mother needed.
so many
That's
things.
what it says.
But we don't have time to do it. And so this was my little therapeutic exercise.
You can just put it under there. Yeah. In
So then my children got a little bigger, and it was time for them to do their homework. And they didn't do it very well. They procrastinated all the time, as we all do. We all procrastinate. So I made this book in honor
with this
of,
one.
Yes, the
okay.
wonderful act of procrastination. It's a little monument to procrastination. It's bound, again, this is an accordion book, as was the dishwasher book. This is bound with egg timers. And for the cover, it has a clock face. I don't know if you can you
Yeah, they can
this?
see it on the camera. Yeah.
Good. Has a clock face. And
And then you have something in the back too. So
Yeah.
yours is three-dimensional and it's like art on both sides.
it has a little collage with extra hours. And we can kind of like scoot it around so that you can see the other side. The other side has doodles done by my children. I have given them credit.
So they weren't doing their homework.
They weren't doing their homework.
Instead, they were doodling, procrastinating,
They were doodling.
and there.
And they were very
So the
delighted
doodles.
to have their work included.
It's beautiful. It's just beautiful. And it keeps reminding you, right? Did they learn anything from this?
Well, that's a good question. I'm not sure. I think they were delighted to have their efforts used in this way. I think they became a little bit more aware of what procrastination is. But I mean, you know, we all know that procrastination is an art, and you can use it, because what you do is you try to get done the thing that's easiest to do, and you put off the harder thing. In the meantime, you get an awful lot done, don't you?
Yes,
You can get your laundry done. You can get all kinds of things
We do
done.
that at home, mothers too, right?
Yeah.
We do all the easy things,
Yeah.
and then they fill up all day, and then the important things that we want to do, we never get to.
Well, that's true too. Yep. Yep.
So that's a wonderful piece. And so you had more fun with your children as they were
I
growing up?
did. I don't know if you can see Cookie Book back there. That's called
Maybe you should get
Stirring.
this.
It's the big book in the
I
back.
think they can see it right in the middle, right there, right?
And that's the 6.
And I can see the spoon measuring spoons.
Yeah, it's got measuring spoons, all the ingredients of making cookies, plus my son's little hands in there.
Oh,
And at the bottom is an actual cookie.
finished cookie. But
This book is called Stirring, because there's something about making cookies that became symbolic to me. Every one of my works has sort of another level to it. Because if you don't make cookies, you feel guilty. So the act of making cookies stirs your emotions.
Yeah.
And it can be a good emotion. You can feel very fulfilled. If you don't have time to make cookies and you have to buy your cookies, then you don't feel quite as fulfilled, and you feel a little guilty you're not spending the time at home with your children. That's what that's about.
Yeah, and our first ladies got on a
They did. Our first,
politically whatever it was, right?
They had a little altercation about whether you should stay home and bake cookies for your children, or whether you should be a working mom.
That was with Hillary Clinton, right?
Barbara Bush, yeah.
Barbara Bush versus Hillary Clinton. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a wonderful
So these were
concept.
all in that
Yeah,
era.
I think there's a lot of sentiment that goes into this, right?
Yeah.
Making cookies and mothers feeling guilty
Yes.
if they can't bake cookies.
Yes.
And what's this? This looks
This-
very colorful.
This is called Don't Panic, and this is in honor of my son, who actually, my eldest son, had a terrible writer's block. And he would not only procrastinate, he would chew his pens, which are stuck onto here. And basically it says, in sequence, I'm not going to turn it around for you, but at the end it says, you can do it. And through these pages, it starts you, and it says, you can. And then it says, can it? And then it says, you can do. And then it says, you can do it. So it's really a vote of confidence. Of course, the little devil tails here say, go on, do it. But if you turn on upside down, it says, no.
Oh, so when your mind tells you no, you have to still look for the ones that say you can do it.
Yes, you're so
right?
positive. Exactly.
Oh, I know. There's just no other choice, right? Otherwise, it'll be all gloom and doom. We
Yeah.
have to be positive. Yeah.
Well, my books sort of have those two sides to them.
These are so interesting, you know. Again, I'm glad that as a teacher, you're also bringing this to children in your
Yes.
school,
I
and
actually-
they can look at art in a different way, right? You also had. Did you bring that little one with the 9/11?
Oh, I didn't bring that one. Sorry.
Okay, just talk about it.
I have a series of books that are it's a little more political, a series of books called Strike. The first one was about the Gulf War, and it actually, I don't have it anymore. It got sold and is living on Fifth Avenue.
Oh, it got sold in
got
New York.
sold.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
wonderful.
But it was about the Gulf War, and it was housed in a kitchen matchbox. And I scratched away the word strike, and I called it Strike, a War Book. After that, we as a country seemed to be engaged in many wars, and they kept coming. So I kept making these strike books, and the next one was about 9/11. And that also is in a little tiny kitchen matchbox, and it's covered with ash. And it's called Strike Anywhere, in the spirit of trying to express the feelings around terrorism, that you never know where it's going to strike. So Strike Anywhere. And it uses little bits of metal, squashed metal, that my studio's full of all kinds of things that I've collected, so I find stuff that's appropriate for whatever the theme is. It has pictures of Afghani trucks, women, beautiful screen models and actresses that I covered over with some blue fabric as the Afghani women, I mean the Iraqi women were covered with burqas. And it has a 9/11 side, it has a Osama bin Laden side, and it has a George Bush side, and George Bush is hiding behind some dollars, and the Osama bin Laden picture looks like a wanted poster. So it's a tiny, tiny book like this. And then my last strike book is about the Iraqi war, and I did it on the 4th anniversary of the Iraqi war, and it's actually 4 matchboxes housed in an exit box. In each matchbox is the list of is little flags with lists of soldiers that have been killed.
Oh.
So it was a heartbreaking book to do.
But it's such a wonderful way to express all of your feelings and emotions through art, right?
Yeah.
And if people can see it and also feel it the same way, that's nothing like it. And that's why I think somebody bought it, right?
Yeah,
Just to remember, was it by an individual or was it by a group?
It's a private collector.
Private collector. Oh.
Yeah, some of my work actually is in some fairly big book collections. There are artist book collections.
Yeah.
Nobody knows about this, but there are.
Yeah.
The Museum of Modern Art has one, the Harvard Library has one, Yale Library has one. Universities tend to have them.
Yeah.
So
what is this box?
this box is what procrastination fits in.
Oh, I see.
So
Okay.
it can be folded up and put right
So it
away
goes
in
in.
this little.
So you not only make these, you also make the boxes.
It's always
so it's like craft combined with your artwork.
Well, you have to protect the book.
Yeah.
So yes, you do need to know the craft of making a box. It was a hard lesson for me to learn. I didn't like making boxes because it's so exacting. But yes.
I know it's been so wonderful looking at all your art. I think I would love to see some of your, children's art. I mean, your school children's
maybe
art.
our
So we
next
would like to
conversation.
have you again for another show, so we can cover your Worcester School art department
That would be-
and all the children's work.
That would be lovely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Deborah. That was Deborah Chodoff. And for all of you who are watching, thank you for watching. And until next time, goodbye.